What's poppin', y'all? In one of the most bizarre crossovers we have of kind of different universes within rap, with kind of like OGs versus, I wouldn't say new gen, but newer gen with Trippie Redd, Meek Mill decides to, what seemingly looks like out of nowhere, just go in on Trippie Redd. And I don't know why Meek Mill is like furthering this energy, but he goes, it feels like unannounced. He goes on his IG and he says the following about Trippie Redd. "This guy no good. I ain't even know you said my name. If you mess with me, F this guy right here. I want to stand on people freely saying my name, make it tight outside. I ain't even know you said my name. I seen you get pulled in a room by the gangsters in LA, you was scared, but let's see how tough y'all guys are. I can't believe these Philly young bulls gassed you to say my name. Look like you repping the devil, I'ma show you how trying God is." At Trippie Redd. I mean, isn't like referring to yourself as God blasphemy? Well, I'm not saying isn't it. It is. So I don't know where Meek Mill is trying to throw in the devil angle when what he is doing is significantly worse. At Trippie Redd, no good out here. Say less. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 fire emojis. You know, he's setting fire to him. "I ain't know you was comfy enough to say my name. I can't wait to see you. Y'all getting too high. Trippie Redd no good out here. Don't ask why. I think y'all scared of jail and death. But let's see, LOL. Let's make y'all show up from the streets to jail. Y'all in the way Y'all in the way off too much money. It's getting too much anyway. Do not call me or text me if you ain't call when people speak on me. This is all Trippie Redd. I want to look in your eyes, young bull, LOL. And now I'm a sign, dudes. I was trying to help the hood. Y'all really let these dudes lose their minds." This guy just said a whole lot of nothing. Allegedly, this stemmed from this video clip that I'm going to play for you guys right now. I can't play the music part, but I'll just show some context.
"They'll follow you when they see you with the ops. And listen though, it should have been that same energy when you was fucking with them little niggas. You was fucking with their ops at the same time, cornball."
So supposedly this whole thing is about like unfollowing and someone unknowingly messing with someone else's ops. And when Trippie Redd was in Philly, this dude Poundside Pop and Meek have had issues for quite a while. I really don't care about their issues, and I'm not going to get into detail of the Meek and Poundside Pop because it's just like some gang hood, you're from the trenches, you're not type of conversation, which doesn't really interest me very much. Now with this whole Trippie Redd and Meek Mill thing, I don't know if Meek Mill hadn't seen this before because this was old. Perhaps it just came across his view, but why is Meek Mill even talking like this? And this is the one thing. Remember when Meek Mill was saying the same thing about 6ix9ine? He's like, yo, if I ever run into 6ix9ine, it's on site, this and that. He runs into, 6ix9ine hunts him down, runs down on him, and is like, yo, what's up? What were you saying? And then Meek Mill just kind of, no, it doesn't scurry off. Let me not mischaracterize what happened. Or let me not mischaracterize Meek Mill. Or misrepresent what happened. Meek Mill kind of just got into a little bit of a shouting match. Not much happened. Some people say, oh man, I didn't want to go to jail. Well, like making public threats is probably the easiest way to land you in jail anyway if you do something afterwards, including what he just did to Trippie Redd, even if Trippie isn't likely to quote unquote snitch. And I think he's kind of disrespecting Trippie Redd here because if we keep it a buck, Trippie gets down. He scraps, he got jumped. I'm not saying like he's a big bad goon. Of course not. I'm not saying that. But he's willing to get down and scrappy, and he seems to be relatively out of beef. He seems to be relatively respectful. Like he's not trying to get in between other people. So I think I'm going to give it to this being overblown by Meek Mill. And the reason for this is, when was the last time Trippie Redd amplified a beef, tried to start a beef, came at another rapper, did something purposefully to kind of like make them look bad, which nobody knew about this except for Meek Mill and I guess some people in Philly. So this had no bearing or impact on Meek Mill's career whatsoever or his public perception. So he just came out of nowhere with this. Meek Mill has been known to call out a ton of people. And when he gets like in these emotional outbursts, like for example, the initial one with Drake, the other ones where he's called out random rappers in Philly, and then the clubhouse arguments. So there's this consistent recurring motif with Meek Mill just calling out people that he doesn't like how they're moving or what they're doing. But I will say this really angered Meek Mill because we've never seen him come out like this, where he says, yo, this guy is no good, just an angry rant at him. And perhaps there are things that are going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. But when were Trippie Redd and Meek Mill even like cool, like boys? I feel like Trippie Redd didn't even know what was going on between these two guys. Because Trippie probably lives in his own world as well. Maybe if he's like looking at social media and stuff, he's looking at stuff that regards him or his career or kind of the sphere he's in, which isn't adjacent to Meek Mill in any type of manner. And I don't think they've ever done music together, which wouldn't really make sense either. But some music that we've seen that doesn't make sense in collaborations actually comes out pretty cool. but we haven't seen them work together. We don't really see them kick it together. So what expectation does Meek Mill have of Trippie Redd? I don't know. And this is where I just don't know why Meek Mill, he's had a good run. Right now, he came back. He dropped a really, really solid album with Ross. He's preaching this independent stuff where he's saying, yo, we just got distribution for this album. We own the masters. This is how we're going to move forward. I'm not interested about this sales thing. We actually selling a lot more. This is platinum in the streets. He didn't say that verbatim, but that's a common term that's used. And he echoed that sentiment throughout what he was saying. He's like, yo, we got to get technology in here. So he's kind of moving things forward. And then he just says stuff like this where it just deviates everyone from the message that he wants to preach. And it's like Meek Mill is, 36? Trippie Redd is a young guy. He's like maybe 23, 24. He minds his business. He doesn't do too much on social media. Now, I will say, like he won't do anything that won't help his music, I will say, for the most part. Now, some people say, oh man, he's always posting his girl and buying her gifts and stuff, or his previous girl. Yeah, but she was kind of posting that, and that doesn't really do much to his career, or positive or negative. If anything, positive, because when they break up, people love that Trippie Redd breakup music that he's pretty much been known for throughout his early career and throughout most of his career. I mean, you got Love Letter to You series. But Trippie Redd, when he was younger, he was getting into this, but keep in mind, he was young. He was like 18, 19, 20, 21. And he just got thrust into the game. So we had to cut him some slack. Meek Mill's 36. This guy was in the streets when he was younger to believe him, which I will believe him. He went to jail, and then he got sent to jail again. He was sitting there for a long time. He gets out, fortunately enough, and then he's going through this justice reform stuff. He gets off that really long probation that he was on, and then now he decides to just do this kind of stuff publicly and kind of agitate violence, because now Trippie Redd, if they ever run into each other, I think people actually forget about this. I'm not going to lie. I hope if they run into each other, nothing happens. I hope someone can mediate this. I don't know if Wack 100 is cool with Meek Mill, but I know he's really, really cool with Trippie Redd. I just hope someone mediates this, because the last thing I want to see is Trippie Redd and Meek Mill run into each other somewhere, which is so incredibly unlikely. And then something happens and someone goes to jail, or what's more likely to happen, some person on their team that their task is pretty much throw your life away if anything happens, ends up with some sort of charge and then ends up going to jail or prison. And out of something completely unnecessary that can be solved and handled behind the scenes. Now, for some people saying, oh, nah, he already called out Meek, or Meek already called out Trippie Redd, something has to happen. I think most people either kind of glossed over this, it didn't make sense to them, didn't even see it, or are going to forget it happened in 7 to 10 days. Probably 5 to 7 days with how much new stuff keeps coming out. And the reason for that is these guys don't fill up the same kind of circle. It's like multi-universe type of collaboration that has to happen. So the audience that listens to Meek Mill is not necessarily the audience and base that listens to Trippie Redd, and vice versa. So there's not much crossover, because I listen to Meek and I listen to Trippie Redd, but the majority, there isn't crossover. So they're not looking at it like, yo, when are these guys going to run into each other and keeping up with the beef or remembering it? Whereas like 6ix9ine, Trippie Redd, I mean, these guys were together on tracks. They were not a duo, but they vibed well on tracks. They were part of the same label. They were cool. They were always posted with each other. So when things go on between them, people aren't likely to forget that, and they understand the background of it. So that's kind of just what I see with this. Hopefully this ends. Hopefully Meek Mill just stops posting on social media in general and just has someone manage it. I think that would be the highest ROI thing for PR-wise, public perception, that Meek Mill could ever do, but I don't think he's going to give it up, because I think his ego is kind of too big. He's like, nah, I gotta be putting stuff on my social media. It's like me having a ghostwriter or something. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you for watching. Peace.